Oh, sweet. The Treadwell Chester is going to be hosting more track days and skid pad days and drift days this year. You up?
The original Assetto Corsa was released back in 2014, and now in 2023, almost 9 years later, today we're going to discuss why this is still one of the most relevant, popular, and all-around great games to play if you're a sim racer or looking into learning performance driving. I first started playing Assetto Corsa maybe back in 2014, 2015. I was playing on a Logitech force feedback wheel that was probably released back in the early 2000s, and it was released with the ever awesome Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. And even with such a limited piece of hardware, the game was so fun to play, and I still learned so much after all of those years. Personally, my most favorite part about Assetto Corsa is the fact that I can drive all of my local tracks in the simulator. And that's huge for me since I don't have a lot of money for going to the track and putting in laps and getting in that seat time. So this is the perfect tool for me, and I've spoken about this way too many times on my channel. And the reason we're talking about this game again in 2023 is that over the years, the library of racetracks has just gotten so large and it's become so accessible. It's simple enough to just log on to a website like Race Department, look up your local track, and the likelihood of it being there is quite high. That brings me to my next positive, is that the game is cheap. It goes on Steam for like $25 from a $25 investment into a racing simulator, putting down some laps, and that saves you how many track days of, trying to figure out the track and learn. We have a huge array of tools for free online, and they just make racing better. You get apps like the Helio Corsa app to show you your radar. I'm playing on single screen, so I need that big time. They've got apps that would allow you to analyze your data. I have output files from Assetto Corsa that go directly into Motec i2. You can learn how to use Motec i2 simply by logging on to Assetto Corsa and putting down some laps. But that's one way to take the game super seriously. The beauty of Assetto Corsa is that you don't have to take it as seriously as you think. You can log on, put down some laps, have a great time, and then log off. You don't need to be as serious with the game. And it doesn't need itself to be that way. You take a game like R-Factor 2 or iRacing, the way that those games present themselves on the track and with the feeling of driving, none of those games have as much of a lighthearted sort of fun aspect to them as Assetto Corsa does. That could be a product of the tire models being a little bit dated and the graphics. When you go into games like iRacing or Assetto Corsa Competizione, they have driver scores. And Assetto Corsa, in some servers, they have some sort of like a money system where you're crashing into people, you get deductions, and eventually you get kicked out. But that's not true for all the servers on Assetto Corsa, and I'm sure there are more relaxed ways to play iRacing and ACC or R-Factor 2. But this game, it definitely leads itself to be the least serious out of a lot of the big ones that are out there today. But when we question the relevancy of anything old, we have to think about the drawbacks, and this game does have a couple. The first one that I relate to the most is the tire model. The tire model for back then in its time was really great. But if you compare it to games like R-Factor 2 or iRacing, which have a really good steering feel, and the resolution of data that comes to the steering wheel from the game into your hands is so much better than all those other games. But again, this is from 2014, and despite that drawback, it is still the number one tool I use to learn different cars and different racetracks prior to driving them in real life. Another drawback to this game, and it may be a product of its age, is that the competition space just isn't that prevalent. It doesn't mean there are less servers available on Assetto Corsa, but the ones that get visibility from an esports perspective are just on the other platforms. That's why this game is still relevant in 2023. The drawbacks to this game are honestly quite minor, given the price and accessibility for the most number of people in the world. Whether you're playing on an old Logitech from 2002 or like me on a Fanatec, it's still a really, really fun game. I'd still recommend this game to anybody, especially if you want to learn your local tracks. This has been an unreal tool for me for learning data analysis and bouncing ideas off of my friends who most of them have this game. rather than the more expensive subscription-based games like iRacing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, any of our data analysis services that we offer for real-life racing, such as our post-track day data analysis, are available on Assetto Corsa as well. So if you guys want to get faster in Assetto Corsa or R-Factor 2 or iRacing or any other sim game where you've collected some data, of course, we can come take a look at it and help you figure out where to get faster or where to adjust the car if you want to make the car faster. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the sim.